Okay, so you are our girl here
Yes.
at the Tyra Show. You
Yes.
go out and you correspond, you get out there and you ask all the questions that people want to know. But now you're in the hot seat.
Yeah.
And now I'm asking you, you know, difficult and tough questions. Tell me how it all happened. How did it start?
Well, I had just, you know, every girl, every person out there has their bad days, and I had been having a really bad day. I was going through just some emotional stuff, and at the time that this happened, I wasn't living close by to my family, and I just decided my cousin was actually having a graduation party at my aunt's house, and I needed some family time. I wanted to be with my family. So I made the hour drive down to where my family lives and spent some quality time with them. And my cousins, two of my girl cousins and I are very close. We're all within a year of each other. And we decided to go out with her girlfriends and their girlfriends. And we went out and just had a girls' night. We had a designated driver from their house to the bar. Probably had about 3-4 drinks, stiff drinks. I don't like mix with Coke. I drink whiskey or vodka or whatever. Probably had 3 or 4 drinks at the bar, had a designated driver back to their house, picked up food, ate, waited for several hours, drank a ton of water. I knew at the time that we left the bar I was not ready to drive. I wasn't capable of driving. Waited until I felt good, till I felt like, all right, I'm more than anything, now I'm just tired, and I need to get back home. I've got responsibilities. It was actually Father's Day that next morning, so I was going to be making breakfast for my dad. So, I need to get back home. So I drove home and thought I was fine. I was driving on the freeway. I was about 80% home, and I see a police officer get on the freeway. I was on cruise control. I wasn't swerving or speeding or anything. And he ends up pulling me over, and he says, "Do you know why I pulled you over?" And I say, "No." And he says, "Well, your registration tag's expired on your license plate. In California, you have to have your registration tag,
on the license
plate. And mine was in my glove box. I hadn't put it on yet." And so I explained that to him. I said, "Oh, it's just right here in the glove compartment." And before I could even really answer that, he said, "Have you been drinking?" And he has a flashlight in my face. And it's, 4:15 in the morning. It's a pretty standard question, I think. And I was honest with him. I said, "Yeah, I've come from hanging out with some of my girlfriends and my cousins and had a couple of drinks earlier, but that was hours ago, And he said, "Well, do you mind if I, give you the field sobriety tests?" And at this point now you start shaking. You're already nervous, and you had been drinking. You've just been very honest about it. Like, how am I going to do? You've seen this in movies. You're like, what am I going to be?
The thing with the touch and the this and that.
Yeah, and you're on the side of the road, and people are driving by, and it's unbelievably terrifying. And, you're just trying to be compliant, too. You just want to, of course, these are police officers, and I respect authority. I'm like, sure, I'll get out of the car, and you do the field sobriety tests, and they have all kinds of different ones. I was in 5-inch heels, and I'm bouncing on one foot with arms out to the side, looking up to the sky. And, at the end of the field sobriety test, he goes, "Okay, well, you actually did pretty well on the field sobriety tests, but you did tell me you had been drinking, so I am going to ask you to blow into the breathalyzer." And, all right, that's what I have no idea. I've never blown into a breathalyzer before, nor have I ever seen how much it takes, how much alcohol it takes for you to actually reach a legal limit or to be incapable of driving. So I was terrified at that point. And I blew into the breathalyzer, and I blew over a 0.08.
0.08, yeah.
Yeah. And they had to arrest me.
What did that feel like? Did he put you in handcuffs and everything?
Oh, yeah. And I mean, I've never experienced anything more humiliating or frightening or anything that's made you feel like a worse person, I was mortified by the decision that I had made, by the fact that this was me. Everybody's driven down the street and see somebody getting arrested, and you instantly think like, "Oh, what did that person do?" And you think,
or even seeing it on TV.
Yeah, cops, you see, and you think about people who are putting up a fight, and everybody's driving by, and I started immediately sobbing, and they weren't actually really all that happy with that. They didn't want me to be crying, and I finally just said to him, "I'm sorry, I can't stop crying. I know that
Why were they telling you to stop crying?"
One of the police officers wasn't exactly the most friendly guy in the world, and he just kept telling me to quit my sniveling and pay attention to what I was supposed to be paying attention to. And
did they know who you were?
I don't know. They didn't say later on when I was in the police car, they said, "We actually thought you were an Olsen twin."
They really thought you were one of those girls.
Yeah, when they pulled me over. He said, "When we pulled you over, I thought you were an Olsen twin."
Wow.
Yeah, poor Olsen twins. But yeah, so
And so then they took you to the jailhouse?
Yeah, but I mean, let me tell you what it's when you have never being handcuffed is when you're never thought that would be you, and you never thought that you're going to be in this situation, standing there and being frisked. You know, you have to wait. I had to wait for a female police officer to be patted down, and you get put in these handcuffs, and they are uncomfortable. You know, you watch people on cops like, "These hurt, it hurts." They're not comfortable things. And then you're sitting in the back of the car and you're leaning against them, and it's a miserable. I was just mascara down my face, tears streaming. I was devastated.
And then they actually put you in a real jail cell. There's more to the story. She's going to tell us about that too when we come back. We'll be right back. I'm back with Danielle Fishel. So they take you to the jail cell. What was the jail cell like?
Jail is just as bad as you would think it would be. It's freezing, first of all. It's like negative 10 degrees in there, and they're not trying to make you comfortable. You know, you've had everything taken away from you, your purse, your cell phone, your jewelry, your rubber bands. They don't want you to have it, your shoes. There was a lady in the jail cell next to me who, I don't know what she had. She had something, and she was rattling it up and down the bars of the cage and screaming, "Officer! Officer!" for the many, many hours that I was there. The worst part was, you know, you get to make your phone call. And, of course, I called my parents, which, you know.
What was that like?
I mean, my parents mean more to me than anything in the entire world, and what they think of me means even more than that.
Were they disappointed?
Absolutely, they were disappointed.
Angry?
Yeah, they were angry. As a matter of fact, my mom, you know, started to give me the lecture, and I said, "Mom, I'm 100% taking responsibility for this, and I have messed up big time, and I want to hear your lecture, but can we wait till I'm not in jail?" Like, I'm just in jail right now, and, you know, they wanted to come and get me, and I said, you know, no, I'm taking responsibility for this. I messed up. They're gonna, if I get out on my own recognizance, I'm gonna have to be in here for about 10 hours, but I don't want to be bailed out. I deserve to be punished.
Why would you choose that?
I felt like it was what I was supposed to do. I felt like it was the easy way out, to have somebody come and pay, you know, $1,000, and you get out and you get to go home and act like that never happened, and then just go about it.
But the catch to this is that this happened how long ago?
Over 3.5 years ago.
3.5 years ago. So 3.5 years went by, and the public, no one knew about this.
No one knew.
Why are we finding out about this right now?
Well, I think we all kind of found out about it actually at the same time, because on December 20th of just this past year, 2007, I had gotten together with some of my girlfriends. We were celebrating the holidays. Everyone was about ready to go out of town, and I hadn't been drinking. I learned that lesson 3.5 years ago. And I was driving home. It was 4 o'clock in the morning. 4 o'clock seems to be a bad time for me, apparently. And I got pulled over for having my windows tinted. In California, it's illegal to have your front windows tinted at all, and mine are tinted very dark because I get followed. I'm sure, you know, a lot of people do. And I explained that. Police officer pulls me over. I explained that to him, and he says, "Okay, I understand. That makes sense. You know, just standard protocol. I'm going to have to just run your license to make sure there's no warrants out or anything." And I'm like, "Thank you. I appreciate you being understanding." And he walks away from the car, and he comes back, and he's like, "Danielle, do you have any idea why there would be a warrant out for your arrest?" I'm like, "No." He said, "It says there's a 2005 warrant." And I said, "Well, I had a DUI in 2004, but I don't, know." And he said, "Well, what happened with that?" And I told him I had a lawyer. I pled no contest. I did my alcohol education program. I did everything I was supposed to do. He said, "Well, I don't know what this is about, but unfortunately, I'm going to have to arrest you." And I mean, again, you just immediately go back to what you had been through, what I had been through 3.5 years ago.
And now the whole world knows, because it's a different day now.
Exactly.
There's all those, the blogs are everywhere. There's the cameras, TMZ, all these places, and these blogging companies, whatever you want to call them, follow stars. Every little move you make.
So invasive now. And, I was very grateful that when this happened to me 3.5 years ago, the DUI, that my family was able to grieve this and deal with this privately. And I was very, very appreciative when that didn't come out. And so then, and they don't exactly explain it well either. They say, DUI warrant, and nobody really spends the time to really research what's going on. So
that story's not interesting.
No. And as far as anyone knows,
is the sensationalized story. What do you think about girls now that are going through what you went through 3.5 years ago and what you had to relive? Girls in the industry. What do you think about that?
I mean, the thing I feel like for me that's important for everybody to know is I feel like when everyone saw what happened on, you know, the arrest for the warrant out, everyone was like, oh, great, here we go, another girl is going to be in a downward spiral. And I feel like for me, where I'm really lucky in the fact that it happened 3.5 years ago is that I now already have 3.5 years behind me that prove this was not a downward spiral for me. This was an isolated incident. This was an isolated mistake I made that I learned from and that I took full responsibility for.
Learned?
Well, more than anything, I've learned that the amount of alcohol it takes for you to be legally and probably physically incapable of driving is not what it takes for you to actually feel it. You know, especially being 5'1", you know, it doesn't take that much for me to drink, for me to be over the legal limit. Of course, the biggest lesson.
And to impair your judgment.
Absolutely,
Yeah.
and to impair your judgment and to not be, you know, I was very fortunate that I didn't get into a car accident, that nobody was injured in my situation, that I wasn't swerving, you know. The biggest thing for me is I will never, ever again have anything to drink and feel like it's worth the risk of driving home for my own safety, for the safety of those I care about, and strangers.
Can you clarify the most recent arrest?
Yeah.
You were not drinking.
No, I had not been
You were not
drinking.
Okay, yeah, that's very clear to know.
I do not. I do not drink and drive since that time that I got arrested. That's not something. It's not a mistake I'll ever make again. The warrant out for my arrest was actually, it was twofold. There was a mix-up in my understanding and my lawyer's understanding, and I had two lawyers and myself, and there was a mix-up pertaining to paying my fine. I didn't pay my fine on time, which I didn't realize I hadn't done. And the court didn't have proof that I had completed my alcohol education program, which I had completed, and I have since gone to court and shown them that and paid the fine, and everything's been cleared up now.
Any other questions? What's your question?
Hi, Danielle. I just want to say hearing your story really means a lot to me. There was a situation similar, but I didn't get caught. Actually, I had dropped all my friends off driving home around the same time, and I fell asleep. Alcohol makes me sleepy. And
You fell asleep while driving?
While driving.
Oh, my gosh.
And I realized, I woke up and I'm turning the wheel. I'm actually in the left lane. So I had just enough time to swerve before hitting the ramp. So that really hit home, and hearing your story really means a lot because, you know, you can hurt yourself and others as well.
And you know, people don't think, like, especially in LA, it's not the easiest thing in the world to get a cab in most cities. You know, New York is very special that way. There's cabs everywhere. But honestly, and people are always like, oh, it's so expensive, we're going so far. Whatever it costs to rent a car, to take a cab, it is so much less expensive in so many ways, not just financially.
You mean
but
to car service?
Yeah, car service. You know, it is. That money that you're going to spend is a lot, one, less than a DUI is going to cost you, or just the emotional cost if you were to hurt somebody. I mean, could you imagine living with something like that for the rest of your life? I can't. I can't imagine ever hurting somebody because I made a decision like that. It's just not worth it.
Well, both of you are very lucky, and thank you.
Thank
And for
you.
clearing it up, for clearing the air.
Thank you. Thank you for letting me. I appreciate it.
You're welcome. We'll be right back.